Hello, me lovelies. Well, the ex-BBC DJ and the now very successful YouTuber Alex Belfield has been found guilty of stalking Jeremy Fine and seven other former colleagues, it says here in a BBC piece. Now, I'll quickly go over the main points and then discuss my views on it. Now, it says Alex Belfield, a right wing provocateur, which he is, who now hosts a show on YouTube, waged a relentless 9-year campaign of stalking against 8 victims after BBC Radio Leeds did not renew his contract in 2011. Well, that's true, but there's also other considerations to take into what happened here and why he was so volatile, because he also was not treated very fairly by the police, which he wasn't. And that added to his anger. Because I saw the way the police treat him, and they were out of hand a lot of the time. Very much out of hand. So anyway, that's what happened. But this is an interesting thing that he's been found guilty of stalking. Now, of course, most people, when they think of stalking, think of someone sitting outside your house in your back garden, following you around. Of course, that is defined as being stalking, but also it can be online. Now, most people, when they think of online bullying or unwanted online attention, think of harassment and cyberbullying. It can come under harassment. It does come under harassment, actually, but stalking is more or less it's a new addition to the law that came in, and I think it was 2012 it came in, and it lies under the Protection of Freedoms Act. And this is where it gets difficult. You can hear I'm struggling here to try and define it. It's not actually that easy to define. The law isn't so solid as it is in harassment. And in harassment, it can be a strange law to try and see where someone's actually breaching it and where they're not breaching it. A lot of it comes into your personal point of view of harassment and in this stalking. But it more or less amounts to that if the person who feels that they're being stalked online is having to be careful about going online themselves. They're fearful, in other words, that if they go online, they're going to get attacked. They're going to get a barrage of attacks and abuse thrown towards them. So that's what it is, and that's what he's been found guilty of. Now, my personal view of Alex Belfield is he does himself no favours. He's not a nice person. He said, but that's not against the law. There's no law saying you have to be a nice person. And again, it's subjective. What I find to be a nice person, someone else might consider to be an absolute horror. But the mistake Alex made was that he saw his coming out with very inflammatory words and phrases, and all the attention he was getting as that he was so popular, and made him right in what he was saying. Not necessarily. People just like to be entertained, and one thing about Alex Belfield, he was annoying, but he was entertaining at the same time. Very entertaining. And he used to unnecessarily go out and make enemies that he didn't need to make. And that's where I couldn't understand. Look, he'd come out and he'd have a view, let's say on LGBTQI masses or woke masses as it's called, whatever you want to call it. Now, he could have just put his point across and made his point of what he thought and left it there. But he'd have to go over the bridge and start using really offensive terminology. Very offensive terminology. And that's where I think he tripped himself right up. the way he came out there, and it's surprising that he worked in the entertainment industry for so long. If he was voicing views like that, I very much doubt he did voice those views, but that's why he most probably can't get any work now in the industry, because he has voiced those views. So all that he's got to rely on now is his online presence. And this is what I've said to people again and again. You can hold a view that something or someone is wrong or needs to be criticised. You can hold that view and express that view. But once you start using abusive, hate-filled terminology, that's when it stops being an opinion and it becomes an attack. And it becomes harassment. It becomes stalking, whatever you want to call it. But I very much dare say it's not the last you'll hear from Alex Belfield about this. And also, he wasn't treated well by the police, which he wasn't. I saw that. I think lots of people saw that. He was not treated well by the police at all. And he was good in exposing that, how the police can act in a very, very biased way towards people. Look, the police have got a vested interest in backing the BBC up as much as they can. Very much a vested interest. It's the establishment. And he wasn't treated fairly. But by his going on with these rants... No, he didn't actually, in fairness, he didn't come out with rants, did he, Alex Belfield? That's the wrong word to use. With him coming out with this horrible terminology and attacking people that really didn't have an issue with him, didn't create an issue with him, he's put himself in the position where it's easy to condemn him now. Very, very easy. Where if he'd kept it on a level, it would have been much better for him. But there it is, people, right? You can be done for stalking someone online. You don't have to physically follow them to be considered a stalker, and it is a serious offence to be found guilty of. So, until there's other updates, I'll leave it there for now, my lovelies.